So you want to know what the first cells were like at the beginning of life? Well, keep watching because you're about to find out. If you don't know me, my name is Nigel and I graduated with a 99.05 ATAR in 2023 and received subject prizes in biology and chemistry. So let me wrap up the initial chit chat and let's get to the video. So we're going to talk about what the first cells may have looked like at the beginning of life and then talk about some theories of how they could have evolved into what they are today. But first, we need to ask ourselves, what are cells? Well, the cell is the smallest unit of life and is the primary building block for all living things, from humans to fungi. In fact, did you know that the average adult human has about 36 trillion cells? Crazy! So cells rely on the DNA within them to control all of their actions. Think of it like the brain of their cell. The DNA can be used to make proteins and is also passed down to the cell's offspring. But when we talk about the earliest cells, it has become commonly accepted that they could not have DNA. But why is that? It is because DNA is created by proteins. But proteins are created by DNA, which leaves us with a paradox. Which one came first? In 1986, Nobel Prize winner Walter Gilbert suggested the RNA world theory, which proposed that the earliest cells used RNA as their genetic code, and this RNA could also form molecules which would act as proteins. This seems plausible because RNA can self-replicate, meaning that it makes copies of itself, and it can also be passed down to future generations, just like DNA. Regarding its role as proteins, it was found out that RNA can form molecules known as ribozymes, which could catalyze simple chemical reactions in order to help the cell's metabolism, similar to how proteins would do it. Although there is strong evidence for the RNA world theory, keep in mind that we don't know what cells really were like at the beginning of life. But let's move on from this topic. If you have studied biology for a while, you would know that there are two different kinds of cells, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Prokaryotic cells are really simple. It contains their DNA and their ribosomes, which are protein synthesizing organelles, but other than that, there's not much going on inside. However, eukaryotic cells are much more complex. They have a vast variety of different organelles, each for different functions within the cell. The increase in complexity between the prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells suggests that maybe eukaryotic cells evolved from the prokaryotic cells. So far, the current fossil record we have suggests this evolutionary relationship. For example, the oldest prokaryotic cells which we have discovered were found on these rocky stromatolites and were dated to be roughly 3.5 billion years old. However, the oldest current eukaryotic cell which we have found, which was a type of red-blue algae, it was dated to be only about 2 billion years old, which suggests that it came later chronologically. One interesting theory for the evolution of cells is the endosymbiotic theory. Endosymbiosis involves a larger organism ingesting a smaller organism, and then both the organisms live together in harmony with one inside the other. In this situation, a larger prokaryotic cell may have ingested some smaller prokaryotic cells, and these smaller cells may have become the mitochondria and chloroplasts in the larger cell. This relationship can be viewed as symbiotic because the smaller prokaryotic cell would have allowed for more complex reactions to occur within the larger cell to facilitate its growth. In exchange, the larger cell would have protected the smaller cells from the hostile environment. This theory does explain why mitochondria and chloroplasts have their own DNA and ribosomes. But an interesting question I have with this theory is that if the eukaryotic cells are better than prokaryotic cells, why are there prokaryotic cells still around? But that's a question for another video. And there you have it. Now you have some idea about what cells were like at the beginning of life and a few theories to suggest how they evolved over time. To stay updated on new releases, why don't you subscribe and hit that notification bell and leave a like while you're at it. Also, why don't you check out the Sigma Student Instagram page where we post study tips and hacks for you to enjoy. Thank you so much for watching this video, and this is Nigel signing off.